You know what I see when I look around today? I see a culture that's very different from the one I grew up in. I see a culture that's very different from 5 years ago. I see a culture that's very different from 3 months ago. I mean, just this week, our culture has changed drastically. I like what Jeffrey Overstreet said. He's a writer. He said, landmark political votes, eulogies for murdered spiritual leaders, terrorist attacks in multiple countries, one fugitive killed and one still on the run. If life were a TV series, today was a season finale. All of these things happening. I'm cleaning up on Friday, cleaning up slime, and I'm getting text messages from some of you about things that are happening in the news. Our culture is rapidly changing here in America and around the world. You know what? I think that the culture shift that we're seeing in our world today, that we can learn from Daniel, because he went from the nation of Judah, the people of Israel, where he was a Hebrew child, into Babylon. And the culture shock that he would have experienced is similar to the one that we experience today, not because we've gone to a foreign land or we've been taken captive, but because the culture is constantly changing. Yet because Daniel had the wisdom of God, he maintained his identity and his faith in a world that was completely different. I have no idea what the world is going to look like when those kids who sang up here this morning are my age or your age or their grandparents' age. It's going to be a very different world. But if they grab hold of the wisdom of God that they learned this week, it's going to benefit them no matter what happens in the culture in the years to come. You know what's remarkable about Daniel? He was taken captive and he served as a wise man in the nation of Babylon. And then Babylon was defeated. And he remained as a trusted counselor to the new king. Now, in our nation, it's pretty incredible if one guy retains his position when the Democrats go out and the Republicans come in, or the Republicans go out and the Democrats come in. Here in Babylon, the nation was toppled over, the people were defeated, and yet Daniel was still trusted by the new king to be a counselor. You know what Daniel saw? Daniel saw nations rise and fall, and yet the wisdom of God that had benefited him when he was first captured was of benefit to him through every one of those incredible events in his life. And it doesn't matter what happens between now and next year or 30 years from now, God's word and his wisdom, it still stands. Everything else may fall apart, everything else may change, but there will be one thing that remains, and that's the Word of God.